Dominic Reyes pressed the silenced pistol against the base of the contractor's skull and fired without blinking. The body slumped across the polished hood of the black SUV, blood pooling into the gravel of the private airstrip. Three of his men turned away. Reyes didn't. He lit a cigarette, dragged slow, and watched the dead man twitch. "He begged," one of the mercenaries said. "They all beg." Reyes exhaled smoke through his teeth. "Move. The target's at Haven Ridge, private wing, 3rd floor. Alaric Vaughn. And I want him dead before the sun comes up and anyone in scrubs goes down with him. No witnesses, no survivors, no exceptions." He stepped over the body like it was a puddle. "And the nurses?" one asked. Reyes smiled. "Especially the nurses. If you love dramatic stories about ordinary people with extraordinary courage, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and stay with me all the way to the end of this story. And leave a comment telling me what city you're watching from tonight. I love seeing how far these stories travel around the world." Rowan Hale walked into Haven Ridge Medical Pavilion at 9 minutes past 11, a duffel bag over her shoulder and a black Belgian Malinois at her left knee. The dog didn't pull on the lead. The dog didn't need to. He moved when she moved, stopped when she stopped, and watched the automatic doors close behind them like a man counting exits. The receptionist looked up from her screen and forgot how to smile. "Ma'am, that animal can't be in here." "He's a service dog," Rowan said. "His paperwork is on file. Nurse Hale, night shift, 3rd floor. I'll have to call someone." "Please do." She stood there with her hands clasped, patient, unremarkable, 31 years old in clean navy scrubs, and hair pulled back so tight the shape of her skull showed. Nothing about her drew a second glance. That was the point. That had always been the point. And the elevator took her up 3 stories and opened onto a hallway that smelled of lilies and money. Haven Ridge wasn't a hospital. It was a recovery pavilion for people whose names appeared on buildings. Tech founders, shipping magnates, one sitting senator who would never admit she had stayed here. Every room was a suite. Every patient paid in cash. Margaret Pell, the charge nurse, was waiting by the station with her arms crossed. "You're late." "I'm 9 minutes early." "You're late because the dog is an orientation I didn't plan for, and now I have to plan for it." Margaret's eyes dropped to valor and back up. "I don't care what your paperwork says. We don't do dogs on this floor." "He stays with me." "Excuse me. I said he stays with me. That's the condition of my employment. HR cleared it. The director cleared it. If you want to call them the numbers pinned by the coffee machine." A younger nurse laughed behind her hand, then caught herself. Callie Price, 24, 2 years out of school. She looked at Rowan like she'd just watched a rabbit bite a dog. Margaret exhaled through her nose. "Fine, rules. The animal does not enter a patient room unless the patient consents in writing. The animal does not approach the medication cart. If it barks once I have it removed from the building and you with it. His name is Valor. I don't care what its name is." Rowan didn't blink. "He won't bark." "Room 304, your charge is Mr. Vaughn. He's a difficult man on a good night, and tonight is not a good night. He's refused his sedative. He's refused his dinner. He's refused to sign the behavioral agreement every patient on this floor signs. You will not argue with him. You will not volunteer opinions. You will monitor his vitals, log his medications, and if he rings the call button, you will answer it in under 60 seconds. "Understood." "Understood. Welcome to Haven Ridge, Nurse Hale. Don't make me regret you." Rowan picked up the tablet, scanned the chart, and walked down the hallway with Valor at her heel. Callie jogged to catch up. "Hey, I'm Callie. Don't take Margaret personally. She eats new people. It's her thing." "I'm not worried about Margaret. Mr. Vaughn, though, heads up. Security briefed us at shift change. He's got enemies, like real enemies. Hunting accident, my foot. Somebody tried to put him in the ground. I read the file. There's a guy at the end of the hall, black suit, earpiece, armed. 2 more downstairs. Private detail. They don't like questions, so don't ask any." Rowan slowed half a step. "The one at the end of the hall." "Yeah, he's not there." Callie turned and looked. The chair at the end of the corridor was empty. A half-finished cup of coffee sat on the armrest, steam still curling off the surface. "He's probably in the bathroom." "Probably." Rowan knocked twice on the door of 304, waited, and let herself in. Alaric Vaughn was propped against 3 pillows with a laptop across his thighs and a phone pressed to his ear. His left arm was in a sling. There was a bandage across his collarbone and another one peeking out from the collar of his shirt. He was 44 and he looked at tonight, gray at the temples, gray under the eyes, the kind of tired that didn't come from one bad night. He held up a finger without looking at her. She waited. I don't care what the insurance says, he told the phone. If the plant goes down for more than 12 hours, I lose the contract. I lose the contract. I lose the quarter. Fix it. He ended the call and finally looked up. Great. They sent me the rookie and a dog. Good evening, Mr. Vaughn. I'm Rowan. I'll be with you until 6. I didn't consent to a dog. You don't have to. He won't enter the room. He'll sit in the doorway. That's not how this works. That's how it works tonight. He stared at her. She didn't look away, didn't fidget, didn't apologize. After a long second, he laughed once short and dry. Ethan, fine. Do what you need to do. Don't talk to me. Don't ask me how I'm feeling. Don't tell me to rate my pain from 1 to 10. And for God's sake, don't smile. Noted. What's your name again? Rowan. Rowan what? Hale. Hale. He frowned a little like the name snagged on something, then let it go. Fine. Do your job, Hale. She did. Blood pressure, pulse, temperature, oxygen saturation. She logged each number in the tablet without comment, without eye contact, without the chirpy narration some nurses use to fill a silent room. She replaced the IV bag because the old one was 3/4 empty. She checked the edges of the chest bandage without peeling it back. She did all of it the way a person does a thing they have done 10,000 times in places where hesitation was the difference between a man living and a man not. Valor sat in the doorway. Valor did not blink. Alaric watched her over the top of his laptop. You were in the service. It wasn't a question. A long time ago, she said. Which branch? Does it matter? Humor me. Navy. Huh. He kept watching her. Corpsman. Something like that. Something like that. He almost smiled. Most nurses, I ask a direct question, I get a direct answer. You give me this. You asked me to not talk to you. I'm revising the instruction. Then yes, I was a corpsman a long time ago, and then I was other things. And then I went to nursing school, and now I'm here, Mr. Vaughn, and your blood pressure is 130/84, which is higher than it was on the last chart, which tells me you are not resting the way your surgeon wants you to rest. My surgeon can kiss my... The lights flickered. Just once. A single dip, the kind that makes a clock reset and a monitor chirp. The backup didn't kick. It didn't need to. Everything came back steady. Valor stood up. Rowan turned her head very slowly toward the doorway. Hale, Alaric said. What? Quiet for a second. Excuse me? Quiet, please. Something in her voice made him close the laptop. She crossed to the room phone and lifted the receiver. No dial tone. She set it back down and pulled her own phone from her pocket. No bars, not weak signal, no bars at all. The little icon had a line through it the way it did in a basement or a vault or a building where someone had flipped a very specific switch. Mr. Vaughn. What? Where is your security detail? Outside the door, 3 of them. No, they're not. He sat up straighter, winced, sat up anyway. What are you talking about? She moved to the window. 4 floors down in the staff lot, a black panel van sat with its headlights off and its engine running. 2 shapes in the front, 1 shape at the loading bay. The loading bay door was propped open with a brick. Mr. Vaughn, I need you to listen to me and not ask questions for the next 60 seconds. Can you do that? Who are you? 60 seconds, Mr. Vaughn. Yes or no? Yes. Get out of that bed. Now. Slowly. Stand up. Leave the IV tree. I'll unhook you. My chest. I know about your chest. Stand up. He stood. She pulled the IV, capped the line, taped it to his forearm in 3 motions. She took the sling off him because the sling was a handle for anyone who wanted to grab him and drag him. She took the hospital bracelet off his wrist because the hospital bracelet had his room number on it. Shoes. What? Where are your shoes? Ayers. Under the bed. She bent and found them and set them in front of him and didn't help him put them on because bending over with a perforated lung would kill him faster than whatever was coming up the stairs. He got them on, himself breathing hard. Hale, what is happening? Someone is in the building who shouldn't be. How do you know? Because your guard is gone, your phones are cut, your cell tower is jammed, and there's a van in the lot with the engine running and its lights off. She crossed back to the door and cracked it. Valor stepped into the hall ahead of her, low, quiet ears forward. And because I have seen this before. Seen what? This. Callie was at the nurse's station laughing at something on her screen. Margaret was on the phone. The guard's chair at the end of the corridor was still empty, and the coffee was still steaming, and no one had noticed because no one was supposed to notice. That was the whole point. Rowan whistled once short and low. Callie looked up. Her smile didn't fade so much as freeze. She had seen the look on Rowan's face, and she didn't know what the look meant, but her body knew. Her body stood up. Callie, behind the station. Now. Get down. Stay down. What? Margaret, hang up the phone. Margaret didn't hang up the phone. Margaret said, excuse me, Nurse Hale, if there is a problem, you address it through the proper means. The stairwell door at the end of the hall opened, and two men walked through. Black tactical vests, black balaclavas, rifles held low and tight the way men who'd been trained by other men held rifles. Not security, not police. They saw the nurse's station, and they raised the rifles in one smooth motion that told Rowan everything she needed to know about who had sent them. Margaret finally hung up the phone. Margaret hung up the phone because Margaret was looking down the barrel. Everybody on the floor, the first man said. Hands where I can. Valor hit him at the thigh. The dog moved like a shadow with teeth 80 pounds of muscle at a full dead run, and he took the man at the inside of the knee and brought him down with the rifle still rising. The rifle went up instead of forward. The burst went into the ceiling. Tile rained down. Rowan was already moving. She covered the 20 feet to the second man before his brain finished processing the dog, and she was inside his rifle, which meant the rifle was useless, which meant what he had was a handgun on his hip, and she had both her hands. She went for the hand, not the gun. She broke the wrist at the joint with a sound that was small and clean and terrible. And when his mouth opened to scream, she put her elbow through it, and the scream stopped being a scream. He went down. She took the handgun off his hip on the way down and had it up and aimed at the stairwell door in the same motion. The first man was trying to pull a Capo's sidearm with the dog still on him. Valor, off. Valor came off. Valor came to her heel and sat. The man on the floor made it as far as lifting the pistol an inch before Rowan's boot pinned his wrist to the linoleum and the pistol skated across the floor. Callie was making a sound, not loud, little strangled yelps like she couldn't get enough breath to make the real sound. Callie. Rowan didn't look at her. She was watching the stairwell door. Callie, I need you with me. I need you to breathe in, out. Look at my back, not at the floor. Don't look at the floor. Good. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Margaret. Yes. Margaret's voice was very small. How many patients on this floor right now? 4. 4, including Mr. Vaughn. I need them in one room, the supply room, the one with the inside lock. Can you move them? 2 of them can't walk. Then we carry them. You and Callie, right now. I'll cover you. Who are you? Margaret said. And it wasn't the way she had said it before. It wasn't the charge nurse way. It was the way a person said it when the floor of the world had dropped out from under her. I'm the night nurse Margaret. Move. Alaric was in the doorway of 304 holding onto the frame. Hale, back inside Mr. Vaughn. Hale, that man on the floor, is alive, back inside. Hale, I know who sent them. She turned her head. Just her head. The handgun stayed pointed at the stairwell. Say that again. I know who sent them, and if I'm right, there are 6 more of them in this building, and they are coming up those stairs in the next 90 seconds, and they are not going to announce themselves next time. How do you know that number? Because I used to send them. Something in her face changed, something very small. He saw it, and he understood for the first time since she had walked into his room that he had underestimated a human being on a scale he had not known was possible. Mr. Vaughn, yes. Get back in that bed, not the one in the room, the one in the supply closet. Margaret is about to move you. Do what she says. Don't argue. Hale, Hale. And the next time someone asks me who I am, Mr. Vaughn, you say nothing. You understand me. You say nothing. Yes. Valor's ears turned toward the stairwell a half second before Rowan heard the footsteps. 6 men, she thought, maybe 7, moving in a stack, fast but not panicked. They had heard the burst into the ceiling and they had decided to come anyway, which told her something important. It told her they were not afraid of what was up here. They should have been. She stepped over the man on the floor, took his rifle, checked the chamber, and set her shoulder against the wall beside the stairwell door. "Margaret," she said without turning, "move my patience. Now." Behind her, she heard Margaret start to pray under her breath. She heard Callie sob once and then stop. She heard wheels squeak on linoleum. Ahead of her, through the door, she heard boots on concrete stairs coming up. She breathed out. She had not held a rifle like this in 11 years. Her hands remembered. Her hands had never stopped remembering. Her hands had only been waiting, folding laundry and taking pulses and pretending the way her whole body had been pretending that the woman she used to be was dead. The woman she used to be was not dead. The woman she used to be was about to go back to work. The first man through the stairwell door died before he cleared the frame. Rowan squeezed one center mass and the man folded backward into the second man, and the second man tripped over the first and went down on one knee. And that was the moment Rowan stopped being a nurse, in any sense that would have reassured Margaret Pell. "Drop it." He didn't drop it. He lifted the rifle instead, which was the wrong answer, and Rowan put 2 rounds through his shoulder and 1 through his thigh, and he went flat on the concrete landing with his rifle clattering down the stairs. "Next," she said, not loud, not to anyone, to herself, the way she used to say it. The third man in the stack was smart enough to stop. She heard him on the landing below, heard the whispered order, heard the boot scrape as he pulled back. Good. Smart was slower than stupid. She had maybe 12 seconds before they tried something different, and she used every one. She hauled the second man through the doorway. By his vest, dragged him clear, kicked the stairwell door shut, and jammed a fire extinguisher through the push bar so the handle wouldn't turn. It wouldn't hold. Nothing you jammed in a fire door held for long, but it would buy 10 seconds the next time someone tried it, and 10 seconds was a lifetime. "Hale? Mr. Vaughn, I told you to get in that supply closet. 2 of your nurses are trying to move a woman with a broken hip. She's screaming. It's a problem. Callie, I'm here." Callie's voice was thin, but it was there. "Get me morphine. Room 302, third drawer, the top one. Bring the whole box. Don't run. Walk like you're doing your job." Walking. Margaret. Yes. Margaret had gone past fear into that strange, clear place that some people found on the other side of it, the place where the hands did what they were told because the brain had gotten out of the way. Who was in this building besides us? Night security, 1 man ground floor, kitchen crew 2, housekeeping 1, Dr. Chen in the basement lab, and the patients. God, the patients. Night security is dead. Margaret made a small sound. I'm not guessing, Margaret. Night security is dead. The kitchen crew is dead. Housekeeping is probably dead. I need you to accept that and move, because the people I can still save are the ones on this floor and the ones you are about to help me save. Yes. Call Dr. Chen on the internal line. The internal line still works because it's not on the cell network. Tell him to lock the lab from the inside and not to open it for anyone who doesn't say the word valor. Not even a police officer. Not even me. Not unless they say the word. Valor. Valor. Margaret picked up the phone. Callie came back with a white plastic case the size of a tackle box, and her hands were shaking, and she was holding it against her chest the way a child holds something breakable. Good, Rowan said. You did good. Put it on the counter. Don't open it. Who's the one with the broken hip? Mrs. Aldana, 406. How old? 83. She's going to stop screaming in about 40 seconds because the pain's going to take her under. When it does, you and Margaret lift her, not drag her, lift her and get her into the supply room. There are 4 other patients. Tell me about them. 304 is Mr. Vaughn. 402 is Mrs. Lynn. She had a pacemaker swap yesterday. She can walk. 406 is Mrs. Aldana. 408 is Mr. Brenner. He's a stroke left side deficit. He can walk with support. Mr. Vaughn is walking. Mrs. Lynn is walking. Mr. Brender is walking. Mrs. Aldana is carried. All 4 in the supply room, door locked, lights off, phones silenced. Callie, you stay with them. You do not open that door. Do you understand me? You do not open that door until I come for you and I will say the word. What's the word? Valor. Valor, go. Callie went. Alaric was still in the hallway, his hand pressed to his ribs, his face the color of newspaper. I said get in the supply room, Mr. Vaughn. 6 more men, Hale. At least 6. You can't take 6 on a stairwell with a handgun. I'm not going to take them on a stairwell. Get in the room. Hale. Mr. Vaughn. My name isn't Vaughn. She had been moving. She stopped moving. It's the name I use. It's not the name I was born with. If you live through the next 10 minutes, you need to know that before you hear it from somebody else. What name were you born with? Not important. It's important to me. Rostov, he said. Alaric Rostov. My father did work for people in the former Soviet states that nobody in this country would shake his hand for. I got out. I built a clean company. Vaughn Industries is clean, but there are men who think I still owe my father's debts, and one of those men is named Dominic Reyes, and Dominic Reyes is in the van downstairs. How do you know it's Reyes? Because this is exactly how he does it. Phones guards a stack of 6 a van in the lot. He's done it before. In Belgrade, in Cyprus. He's the man my father used to send Hale, and for 3 years before I got out, he was a man I used to send. She looked at him. She saw for a second not the billionaire in the hospital gown with the bandage on his chest. She saw a younger man she had never met, a man who had given orders a long time ago and who had been living with those orders ever since the way she had been living with hers. You used to send him after people like me, she said. Yes. And now he's after you. Yes. And you're asking me to save you. I'm not asking you to do anything, Hale. I'm telling you who's coming up those stairs. Because I know you. I knew you the second you walked in. I didn't know your name, but I knew what you were. You knew what I was. I've met people like you before, Hale. On the other side of a room. I know the way you stand. I know the way you don't blink. And I owe you the truth because if I die in the next 10 minutes and you don't, somebody is going to ask you why this happened, and I don't want you to lie for me. She looked at him for another half second. Then she shook her head. Tell me the rest when we're alive, Mr. Rostov. Right now, get in the supply room. Yes, ma'am. He went. Margaret was at her shoulder. Margaret had gone past the strange clear place and had arrived somewhere new, which was a woman of 56 deciding in a hospital hallway on a Tuesday night that she was going to be useful. What do you need? The maintenance stairs. The back set. Where are they? East wing, past the linen room. They go up to the roof and down to the parking level. They're going to come up the east stairs. They hit the main stairwell, they get shot. They'll split, half up the back half through the elevator override. I need to close the elevator. I can close the elevator. There's a key at the charge desk. Get it. Close it on the 2nd floor, lock it there, then come back here and stay behind this counter and keep your head down. Margaret, I don't care what you hear. I don't care what it sounds like. Stay behind this counter until I say your name. Yes. Margaret went. Rowan crossed to the man she had dragged in from the stairwell, the one with 3 bullets in him and a pulse that was still somehow doing its job. She cut his vest off with the scissors from her scrub's pocket. Under the vest was a radio, and the radio was still talking, and the radio was saying things in the flat shorthand of men who were being told that the primary assault element that had gone quiet and the secondary element was moving up now. She keyed the radio. Reyes. A pause. A long one, Vaughn. Who is this? The woman you sent 6 men to kill instead of 1. Pull your element back. Leave the building. Take the van and go. This is the only offer you're going to get tonight. Another pause. Who am I talking to? A nurse, Mr. Reyes. I'm just the night nurse. She could hear him breathing. He was somewhere close. Inside the building. Maybe ground floor. Maybe the loading bay. Put Alaric on the radio. No. Put Alaric on the radio and my men stand down. You have my word. Your word isn't currency here, Mr. Reyes. Last offer. Pull your men. Take your van. Go. Nurse. He laughed once short and dry. I've killed nurses before. I know you have. Then you know how this ends. I know how it ends for one of us. She dropped the radio on the counter, unkeyed, and she heard him start to say something else, and she didn't listen to the rest. She was already moving toward the east wing. Valor was at her heel. Valor had not made a sound since the first burst in the ceiling. Valor was a professional. The linen room door was open. The door beyond it, the one that said maintenance, was cracked a quarter inch, which was not how it had been 40 minutes ago, when she had walked the floor and memorized every door on it, because that was what she did when she walked into a new building, because that was a habit she had not been able to unlearn and had stopped trying to. She pressed her back against the wall beside the door. Valor went low. The man who came through the maintenance door was the point of a four-man stack, and he came through fast rifle up, eyes forward, and because his eyes were forward, he didn't see the dog at his boots until the bone was already on his hamstring. He went down sideways. His rifle fired into the linoleum, and Rowan stepped around the doorframe and fired twice, and he stopped firing. The second man in the stack was smarter. He saw the muzzle flash, he pivoted. He brought his rifle across his body in the clean, fast motion of a man who had been drilled 1,000 times on exactly this angle. He would have killed her. He was a tenth of a second from killing her. And in that tenth of a second, a small, trembling Belgian Malinois who had been trained in Quantico by a man who had later been killed in a country whose name Rowan still could not say out loud came off the floor and took the inside of the second man's rifle hand in his teeth. The rifle went up. The burst went into the ceiling tiles. Rowan put 2 rounds through his chest and he went down on top of the first man. 2 more in the stack. They pulled back fast. They knew now. They had seen the dog. They had seen her, and they knew. The radio on her hip crackled, and she heard the fourth man say the word that she had said into a radio herself a long time ago in a country that was not this one. He said it in English, but the word was the same in every language. It was the word you said when the thing you had been told would be easy was not easy. She let them pull back. She didn't chase. She crouched by the second man and pulled a grenade off his vest, a flashbang Russian pattern, which was interesting and also not surprising. She pocketed it. She took a second radio, keyed it once, confirmed the frequency, and clipped it to her own scrubs. Val, the dog came to her. Good boy. She rested her hand on his skull for 1 second. He pushed his head into her palm. He was shaking. Not from fear, from the thing that ran through him in combat, the thing that ran through her too, the electric thing they had both been bred for. She had forgotten what it felt like. She had forgotten how familiar it was. It terrified her how familiar it was. Okay, she said. Okay, she stood up. The main stairwell door exploded. Not a metaphor. They had put a charge on it from the other side, and the door came off its hinges and sailed across the corridor and slammed into the nurse's station, and the air filled with smoke, and the smoke had the specific, sharp chemical smell that Rowan had not smelled in 11 years, in which her body responded to before her mind caught up. She was already behind the wall. She was already moving. Margaret, down. Callie, no answer, and Callie. I'm here, her voice through the supply room door, muffled, steady, more steady than it had been. The patients are okay. The door is locked. Stay. Do not open. I won't. 3 men came through the smoke. They were not the same men she had seen coming up the stairs. These were better. They moved in a diamond low and tight, and they cleared the hallway by pairs, and the man in the lead was wearing body armor that was a grade higher than the vests the first wave had worn, and the man in the lead was not Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes was behind them. She knew it before she saw him. She knew it the way you know a shark is in the water. He came through the smoke last, and he was not carrying a rifle. He was carrying a pistol, and he was wearing an earpiece, and he was wearing the smile of a man who had done this too many times to be afraid of it anymore. Nurse? His voice came down the hallway like somebody calling an order across a diner counter. Mr. Reyes, I'm going to offer you something different, and I'm going to offer you a chance to walk out of this building. Put down the weapon. Step back. I will take Alaric, and I will leave, and you will live. You go home. You forget you were here. Keep walking, Mr. Reyes. You don't even know this man, Nurse. You've been his caretaker for 2 hours. He is not worth your life. I agree. Then step aside. I'm not stepping aside because of him, Mr. Reyes. A pause. Then why? Because the woman in the room behind me is 83 years old, and she has a broken hip, and she has a husband who is going to come to this hospital tomorrow morning expecting to see his wife. And because the nurse in that supply room is 24, and her mother still calls her to make sure she ate, and because if I step aside, Mr. Reyes, you are going to kill all of them, and then you are going to kill me, And I know that and you know that, so let's not insult each other. Another pause, longer. You are not a nurse. I'm a nurse tonight. Who were you before? Someone you should have checked for Mr. Reyes before you walked into this building. The man at the point of his diamond shifted his rifle a quarter inch. Rowan saw it. She saw it because Valor saw it. Valor had gone very still at her heel, very still in the way a loaded weapon is still, and the man at the point of the diamond shifted the rifle, and Valor's ears pinned flat, and Rowan's hand went to the pin on the flashbang in her pocket and did not pull it yet. Last chance, nurse. No. Reyes nodded once, not to her, to his lead. The lead raised the rifle. Rowan pulled the pin. She threw the flashbang into the middle of the diamond and turned her face into the wall and pressed her palms over Valor's ears a half second before the world went white. The bang took the hearing out of everything for 6 seconds. 6 seconds was a lifetime. 6 seconds was the rest of some people's lives. Rowan came around the corner with the rifle she had taken off the maintenance stair, and she was firing before the point man's eyes had recovered. She dropped him with 2 rounds to the plate above his sternum, which didn't penetrate, but which put him on his back because physics still worked even when your ears didn't. She shifted. The second man in the diamond was turning toward where he thought the shot had come from, which was the wrong place. She dropped him with a round through the hip and a round through the shoulder, and he was down and staying down. The third man was the smart one. He was the one who hadn't turned. He was the one who had gone flat the second the bangs went off, and now he was low, and he was firing, and the rounds came past Rowan close enough that she felt them. She went behind the crash cart. The cart rang like a bell. Valor, down. Valor went flat. Reyes. She wasn't yelling. She was talking. She was talking the way you talked across a room to a man you knew was listening. Your point man is alive. Your second man is alive. Your third man is good. Better than the first wave. Where'd you find him? No answer. Reyes, your third man. He's ex-group. Maybe 5th. Maybe 7th. No answer. Reyes, I'm going to kill your third man in about 40 seconds. I'm telling you this because when I do, you're going to have 2 men left, and neither of them are as good as the one I'm about to kill. And I'm going to ask you one more time to pick up your people and leave this building. She heard movement, not his voice, somebody else's, one of his men murmuring into a radio, and then a second voice farther back, lower, and the second voice was Reyes. Nurse! Reyes. Who trained you? You wouldn't know him. Try me. He's been dead 11 years, Reyes. I don't say his name anymore. A pause. Virginia, Reyes said. Coronado, Eglin. Which one? None of those. The farm. No. Then who? Reyes, your third man is reloading. I can hear it. You want him to live, you tell him to drop. She heard Reyes say something. Not in English. 3 syllables low, and the third man, the smart one, froze. Didn't finish the reload. Didn't move. Interesting, Rowan said. You speak Tagalog. A little. Who trained you, nurse? We aren't friends, Reyes. I'd like to know before I kill you. You'd like to know before you try. She heard him laugh once, a small laugh, a real one. Okay, nurse, okay. And then he was moving. She heard his boots going backward, fast and quiet, back through the smoke, back toward the stairwell, and she heard him give an order to the third man, and the third man began backing up without lifting his head, and Rowan let him because letting him live cost her nothing tonight, and because the third man was not the one she was going to catch. The third man got to the stairwell. The third man disappeared. Silence. She counted to 10. She counted to 20. Valor was watching the stairwell for her. Valor would tell her first. At 30, she moved. She moved fast. She took the radios off the 2 men on the floor. She took their sidearms. She cuffed their wrists to the cart legs with the plastic cuffs one of them had been carrying for her, and then she went to the supply room door, and she said the word, and Callie opened the door a half inch, and Callie's face was white and dry-eyed, which was the face of a person who had used up all the crying she was going to do tonight in the first 3 minutes. They're alive, Callie said. All 4. Mrs. Aldana is out. Morphine. Good. Margaret. Behind the counter. Margaret. Margaret's head came up over the counter like a woman from a trench. The elevator. Locked on 2. Keys in my pocket. You did good. I don't feel like I did good. I feel like I sat here. That's what sitting here looked like, Margaret. That's the job. She moved back to the hallway and keyed her new radio, the one she had taken off the maintenance stair, and she found the frequency Reyes had been talking on and she listened. There was traffic. Fast clean the traffic of a team that had been surprised and was regrouping. She listened for 3 seconds and then she thumbed the transmit and she spoke in the flat shorthand she had learned a long time ago. And she said the words that Reyes's men would know meant what they meant, and she said them the way a woman says them when she has said them before in anger. She said, Sierra 2 consolidate at rally point echo over. There was a pause on the frequency. Then one of Reyes's men said, who is this? She said nothing. She unkeyed. Reyes's voice came on. Ignore that. All stations ignore last transmission. Hold position. She smiled for the first time that night. It wasn't a good smile. Mr. Rostov. He was in the doorway of the supply room. He was standing, which he shouldn't have been. The bandage on his collarbone had a spot of red on it, the size of a coin, and the spot was growing. Hale, you're bleeding again. I am. Get back in the room, sit down. Don't stand, don't walk, don't do anything except breathe and hold pressure. I need to ask you something. Ask me while you're sitting. He sat. He sat against the inside of the doorframe and he pressed his palm against his collar and he looked up at her. How many are left? 5, Reyes, his third man, the good one. 2 on the ground floor I haven't seen yet. 1 in the van. 5. 5. You're going to kill them. Some of them. Hale. Mr. Rostov. I have a daughter. She looked at him. Her name is Nina. She's 11. She's in Switzerland right now. She doesn't know who her grandfather was. She doesn't know what her father used to do. She thinks I sell turbines, which I do. That's a true thing. But if Reyes gets to me tonight, he doesn't stop with me. He goes to Switzerland. He finds her. He makes her pay for everything I walked away from. So what I'm asking you is this. If I don't make it through the next hour and you do, I need you to find her. I need you to get her out of that school. I need you to put her somewhere where Reyes cannot find her. And I need your word on that. Rowan looked down the hallway, then back at him. Mr. Rostov, I'm not going to let Reyes get to you tonight. Then promise me anyway. She was quiet for a second. I promise you. Thank you, Hale. Don't thank me yet. Hale. Mr. Rostov. Who trained you? She didn't answer. Hale, I know a man named Carver. Her hand tightened on the rifle. I know Carver ran a program out of Dam Neck for 6 years. I know that program got shut down in 2014 after an operation in Tripoli went sideways. I know everybody in that program was either killed or reassigned or folded into a thing nobody writes down. I know the program had a name that nobody says out loud. And I know there was a woman on that program, one woman, Hale, and I was told she died in Tripoli. Mr. Rostov, did you die in Tripoli, Hale? Part of me did. He looked at her for a long moment. Okay, he said. Get in the room, Mr. Rostov. Yes, ma'am. He got in the room, she turned. The maintenance stair door at the end of the east corridor opened. Her rifle was up before the door was halfway. Her finger was on the trigger before the body was through. And then her finger came off the trigger because what came through the door was not a man with a rifle. What came through the door was a woman in scrubs, a woman in her 40s, a woman with a bloody forehead and a shaking hand and a plastic ID clipped to her hip that said she was a janitor on the night shift. Please don't shoot, the woman said. Her voice was a whisper. Please, please. Rowan did not lower the rifle. Name, Dolores Vega. I work nights. I was in the linen room when they came in. I hid. I heard the shooting. I hid longer. Please. Dolores, who did you see come in? 6 men, black masks. I counted them because I thought if I counted, I counted 6. Okay. There's a 7th man on the ground floor. He's not wearing a mask. He was in the lobby. He was on the phone. He kept saying, the package is in 304. The package is in 304. He said it 3 times. Rowan looked at her for a half second longer. Then she lowered the rifle an inch. Come here. Slow. Valor, stand down. Good. Come here, Dolores. Dolores came. She came the way a person who had been very still for a very long time came in small, brittle steps, and when she was close enough, Rowan took her wrist and felt the pulse there, which was a pulse in the 160s, which was the pulse of a woman who was about to pass out or throw up or both. Sit down, back against the wall, head between your knees, Margaret. Here. Get her some water. Don't leave the station. Slide it to her, Sir. Dolores, look at me. Dolores looked. The man in the lobby. Describe him. Tall, gray jacket. He had a hearing aid. Both ears. Both ears. Yes. White, black. What? White, older. 60 maybe. Rowan went still. He had a ring on his left hand. It wasn't a wedding ring. It had a shape on it, like a bird. Something inside Rowan's chest did a thing she hadn't felt in 11 years. It wasn't a feeling exactly. It was the absence of a feeling, the sudden neutral cold that came over her when her brain ran a query and came back with a match she did not want. Dolores, what kind of bird? I don't a long one. Like a heron. A crane. Maybe. Was it a crane, Dolores? Yes, a crane. Rowan closed her eyes for 1 second. Hail. Alaric from the supply room. She opened her eyes. Mr. Rostov, what does the crane mean? It means the man in the lobby isn't working for Reyes. It means Reyes is working for the man in the lobby. Who is he? His name was Halvard Lund. He was a Norwegian intelligence officer. He ran a European network that trafficked in a lot of things, including assassins. He was killed in 2015 in a boating accident off the coast of Bergen. He wasn't killed? Apparently not. Hale, why would a Norwegian intelligence officer with a bird ring care about me? He wouldn't. He cares about me. The corridor got very quiet. Halvard Lund is the man I failed to kill in Tripoli, Mr. Rostov. He's the reason my team died. He's the reason I've been washing blood pressure cuffs for 11 years. He's the reason I changed my name 3 times. And he's the reason there is a dog on this floor and why the dog is trained the way he's trained and why I keep a bag packed in my car. He's here for you. He's here for me. Reyes is a favor he's calling in. Reyes probably doesn't even know. Reyes thinks this is about you. So if I walk out the door, he still kills you, Mr. Rostov, because you're useful cover, and then he kills me. And then he kills everyone in this building who saw his face. So no, you are not walking out the door. Hale, yes. You have a plan. I have a plan. I would like to hear the plan. The plan is that I'm going downstairs. Hale, Mr. Rostov, listen to me. Lund is a careful man. Lund is not a brave man. Lund does not walk into a building where he doesn't know where every exit is. If he's in the lobby, he's in the lobby because he thinks the building is under control, and he thinks the building is under control because Reyes told him it was under control, and Reyes told him that before Reyes came up those stairs. So right now, as we are speaking, Lund is sitting downstairs with a hearing aid in both ears and a phone in his hand, waiting for Reyes to walk out with your head in a bag. He is not expecting me. He will be soon. He will be in about 4 minutes. And in 4 minutes? In 4 minutes, I'm going to be standing in front of him. She walked to the nurse's station. She pulled a clean white scrub top from the linen cart and stripped off her bloodied one and put the clean one on in one motion, and under the clean scrub top, she put one of the tactical vests off one of the dead men, and over that, she pulled a second scrub top, a larger size, which hid the vest. She tied her hair back tighter. She picked up the radio. She picked up the rifle. She looked at Margaret. Margaret, yes. If I am not back in 9 minutes, you are going to do something for me. You are going to call a number I am going to write on this pad. The number is a number you will never call again after tonight. You will not ask who answers it. You will say the word Tripoli, and you will say this address, and you will say the number 3. 3. Do not say anything else. You will hang up. People will arrive in under 20 minutes. Can you do that, Margaret? Yes. Callie, come out here. Callie came. Callie, if I'm not back in 9 minutes and Margaret makes that call, you are going to take Mr. Vaughn and you are going to get him out through the fire stairs on the west side, which is the opposite side from the maintenance stairs. You will go down slow. You will keep him against the wall. You will go to the loading dock and out into the staff lot and across the street into the alley. In the alley, there's a dumpster. Behind the dumpster is a door. The door is unlocked. The door goes into a laundromat that has been closed for 2 years. You will go inside. You will close the door. You will sit on the floor. You will not move until you hear the word. What's the word? Valor. Valor. Say it again. Valor. Good. Nurse Hale? Yes. How did you know about the dumpster? Rowan looked at her. For the first time all night, Rowan looked at her the way a person looks at another person, not the way a soldier looks at an asset. Because I walked the neighborhood before I took this job, Callie. 3 times. I walked a 1-mile radius around every building I'm ever going to work in, and I find every exit and every alley and every door that won't open from the outside, but will open from the inside. And I do that because I have spent 11 years waiting for tonight, and because tonight finally came in because I was ready. Callie's eyes filled. Don't, Rowan said. Gentle. Don't. Not now. Okay. Good. Go sit with Mr. Vaughn. Callie went. Valor was at Rowan's knee. You stay, Rowan said. Valor's ears flicked. I mean it. You stay with Margaret. If he goes through this floor, you stop him. You understand me? You stop him. Valor didn't move. He didn't agree. He also didn't disagree, which was the same thing because this dog never agreed out loud. Val, stay. He sat. She turned. She walked down the corridor past the 2 cuffed men, past the 2 dead men, past the blown stairwell door, and she went down the stairs 3 at a time, and she moved the way she had moved 11 years ago in a hallway in Tripoli, and somewhere below her in the lobby of Haven Ridge Medical Pavilion, a 60-year-old Norwegian man with a crane on his finger was sitting in an armchair with a phone in his hand, waiting for a call from Dominic Reyes. He was going to get the wrong visitor. She stopped on the 2nd floor landing. She didn't stop to think. She stopped because the radio on her hip had gone quiet, and quiet radios were a problem. Quiet radios meant either the other side had stopped talking because they had decided on a plan, or the other side had stopped talking because they had switched channels. Either answer was bad. The second answer was worse. She pressed the radio to her ear. Dead air. She switched the frequency up. Dead air. She switched it down, and there on a channel she hadn't been monitoring, she caught 3 words before whoever was talking realized they were on the wrong net. Package is moving. Not her package. Theirs. Lund was moving. She went down the next flight 2 steps at a time. The package is moving meant Lund had heard enough to know something had gone wrong, and Lund was not the kind of man who waited. Lund was the kind of man who had survived a staged drowning in a fjord by being above all things the first man out of a room. She needed him still in the lobby. She needed him there for 40 more seconds. She keyed her radio onto Reyes' main channel. Sierra 1, we have him. She said it flat a man's flat, the way she had trained to project the register that made dispatchers assume a male voice. Subject is in 304. Subject is restrained. Confirm extract. A pause, then a voice. Not Reyes, one of Reyes' men. Sierra 1 confirms status of Bravo element. Bravo is secure. We have the subject. Confirm extract. Another pause. Then Reyes. Calm. Not calm like calm. Calm like a man who had already decided. Nurse. She said nothing. Nurse, that was a good try. She said nothing. Your accent on subject was off, just a little. I thought I'd mention it. She said nothing. She was already moving again. She came off the stairwell on the lobby level through the maintenance door, and she came through it low, and she came through it with the rifle up. The lobby was empty. No armchair, no old man, no phone. The receptionist was on the floor behind the desk, and Rowan did not need to check her because Rowan had known the second she had walked off the 3rd floor that the receptionist was no longer a person who needed checking. Rowan checked her anyway. She owed her that. Nadia, 26. Her name tag said Nadia. Rowan closed her eyes for 1 second, and then she opened them. The armchair Lund had been sitting in had a small indentation on the seat cushion and a coffee cup half full on the table next to it. The coffee was still hot. He had left inside the last 90 seconds. Reyes, she keyed it. She didn't care anymore. Reyes, your boss just left you. My what? Your boss, Mr. Reyes, the man with the hearing aid and the crane ring. He got in a car about 40 seconds ago, and he is now approximately 1 mile away and getting farther, and you are inside a building with no support, no air cover, no exit plan, and 4 men between you and the woman you cannot kill. You want to know what I'm doing right now. I'm calling the number you don't want me to call. I'm doing it right now, Mr. Reyes. Do you hear me dialing? She was not dialing. The phone in her scrub pocket was still jammed, but Reyes didn't know that. Nurse, stop. Mr. Reyes, pull your men leave through the loading bay. Take the van. You have about 3 minutes before people arrive who are going to be very upset with you. I don't care where you go after that. I don't care if you live or die. I care about the 4 civilians on the 3rd floor and the old woman with the broken hip, and once they are out of this building, you can run to whatever hole you crawled out of. 3 minutes, Mr. Reyes. Silence. Then soft, genuinely curious, who are you? I'm the woman Lund told you not to worry about. She dropped the radio on Nadia's desk. She picked up the desk phone. She dialed the number she had written on Margaret's pad, and she dialed it the way she had been taught to dial it: 3 digits, pause, 4 digits, pause, 4 digits. And when the line picked up, there was no voice on the other end, just the soft tone of a system listening. Tripoli, she said. Haven Ridge Medical Pavilion, 1840 North Vale Road. 3. She hung up. She set the phone on the desk. She crossed the lobby to the front doors. She looked out. There was no car in front. No running sedan. Lund had gone out a service exit, which meant he had a driver waiting, which meant he had known before he walked in tonight exactly which service exit he was going to walk out of, which meant Dolores's count had been wrong. 6 men and 1 in the lobby had not been the full count. There had been a driver too. There had probably been a spotter, probably 2 spotters, probably a full overwatch element Rowan could not see from inside a glass lobby. She turned from the doors. She moved back through the lobby, past Nadia, and she went through the door behind the elevators that said employees only. And she went down the service corridor, and at the end of the service corridor was a door that opened onto the loading bay. The door was propped open with a brick, same brick she had seen from the 3rd floor window. Still there, which meant Reyes's men had come in through that bay, which meant Reyes's men had not all left yet, which meant one of them was still back there, probably watching the bay, probably with a rifle trained on the door she was about to step through. She did not step through the door. She pulled out the flashbang she had taken off the 2nd maintenance stairman, and she held it in her left hand, and with her right she reached around the doorframe and set a radio on the concrete floor of the bay, and she keyed the radio to Reyes's channel, and she pressed the transmit, and then she dropped the radio and pulled her hand back. The man in the bay started firing at the radio. She heard the burst. She counted. 3-round burst, 3-round burst, 3-round burst, and a pause. He was a professional. Professionals fired 3-round bursts. Professionals also reloaded on the pause. She came around the corner during the pause. He saw her. He was halfway through a magazine swap. His eyes went wide. He dropped the partial magazine and reached for a sidearm. She shot him in the thigh. He went down. She shot him in the shoulder. He stayed down. She crossed to him, kicked the rifle away, took the sidearm off his hip, and then she put her knee on his sternum and her hand on his throat. Look at me. Look at me. How many in the bay? 1. Lie to me again and you don't see a hospital tonight. How many in the bay? 2. 1 behind the van. Thank you. She came up off him and moved to the corner of the van, and she did the thing she had done 1,000 times on ranges in places she could not name, which was to check one angle with one eye and then move to check the other angle before the man behind the van could decide which angle she was coming from. He chose wrong. She came around the driver's side, and he was facing the passenger side, and she shot him in the back of the leg, and he went down, and she put 2 rounds in the engine block of the van for good measure. Because the van was not leaving tonight, and nobody was leaving tonight in the van, and that mattered. Reyes, she keyed the radio. No answer. Reyes, your van is dead. Your ground team is down. The bay is mine. No answer. Reyes, I'm coming back upstairs now. You have 2 options. You walk out the front doors with your hands empty and you let me put zip cuffs on you, or I come through that 3rd floor doorway and I make the other choice for you. The only difference between those options is how many of your men get to call their mothers tomorrow. Static, then a breath, then his voice quieter than before. Nurse, Reyes. What's your real name? Not tonight, Reyes. Was it you in Tripoli? Not tonight. It was. Reyes. I wasn't in Tripoli. I want you to know that. Before you come up these stairs, I was in Cyprus and I was in Belgrade, but I wasn't in Tripoli. Whatever Lund told you about me, he told you wrong. Tell me upstairs, Reyes. She took the stairs fast. She took them two at a time. She did not go up the main stairwell because the main stairwell was blown because there was a chance Reyes was waiting at the top of it. She took the maintenance stair. She came out onto the third floor corridor at the east end, and Valor was already standing in the corridor, looking at her because Valor had heard her coming 3 steps ago and had known it was her because Valor knew her footfalls the way she knew his. "Hey," she said. He leaned his head into her thigh, just for a half second. "Margaret." "I'm here." Margaret came up behind the counter. Her hands were steady. Her face was not. Her face had aged 4 years and 40 minutes. "Callie." "Here." Callie at the supply room door. "Mr. Rostov." "Here." "Dolores." "Here." "Everyone is alive." "Say it back to me, Margaret." "Everyone is alive." "Say it again." "Everyone is alive." "Good. Now I need you to go back behind that counter because I am about to do the last thing I'm going to do in this building tonight and I don't want you to see it." "Nurse Hale." "Margaret." "What are you?" "I'm a nurse, Margaret. I really am. But before I was something else." "What?" "Margaret, go." Margaret went. Rowan walked down the hallway past the dead door, past the crash cart, past the 2 cuffed men who were still breathing and would still be breathing when paramedics finally reached them. She walked to the doorway of 304 and she stopped outside it because she knew Reyes was inside it. She had known since she had come off the maintenance stair. She had known because Valor had not looked at 304 when she had come in. Valor had pointedly not looked at it, which was the way Valor told her where a threat was without giving it away. "Reyes." "Nurse." He was inside. His voice was coming from her left, which was away from the window, which meant he was against the interior wall, which was the wall that shared a doorframe with her. "Come out, Reyes." "I'd rather talk here." "I'd rather you came out." "Nurse." "Reyes." "Lund left me." "You were right, he left me. He didn't even tell me. I realized it when you said it, and I realized it was true, and I thought about what that meant, and I've been thinking about it for 2 minutes now." "What does it mean, Reyes?" "It means I was never walking out of this building tonight. Lund was never going to let me walk out. He uses people like me the way your people use people like me. One job, one shot, then you disappear. Us. I should have seen it. You saw what he paid you." "I saw what he paid me." "How much, Reyes?" 8 figures. "Not enough." "It would have been." "Reyes, I'm going to ask you one time. Come out with your hands empty. Lie down on the floor. Let me cuff you. Let the people who are about to arrive at this building take you somewhere. You will spend the rest of your life in a room with no windows, but you will have a rest of your life. That's more than Lund was going to give you." A pause. "Nurse." "Reyes." "Are you going to tell me who you are?" "No. Why not?" "Because who I was is not who I am anymore, Reyes. Who I was died in Tripoli. Who I was is a list of names in a sealed folder in a building in Virginia, and the woman who used to answer to those names is a ghost, and ghosts don't do interviews." "Then how do I know you aren't going to shoot me the second I walk out?" "Because if I was going to shoot you, Reyes, I'd have shot you through the wall 2 minutes ago." Silence. Reyes. "I'm coming out. Rifle first. Through the doorway. Slowly." She heard him unclip the sling. She heard the rifle slide across the floor. It came through the doorway and she hooked it with her boot and sent it the rest of the way down the corridor to Valor, and Valor put a paw on it the way he had been trained to and stayed there. Sidearm. The pistol came through. Knife, a folding knife. Second knife, a pause. "Reyes, second knife, I can see it on your left ankle from here." "How can you see it from there?" "Because I can. Send it through." The ankle knife came through. "Okay, step out. Hands wide, on your knees, forehead on the floor." He stepped out. He was smaller in person than she had expected, and he was older, and his face was the face of a man who had made his peace with dying a long time ago and had been surprised tonight to find he was still capable of being surprised. He went down to his knees. He put his hands on his head. He put his forehead on the floor. She zip-cuffed him. She patted him down. She found one more knife, a small one in the seam of his vest, and she took it. She rolled him onto his side and she looked at him. "Reyes." "Yeah." "Lund, where's he going?" "A boat. The marina on Pier 12. He has a boat there. It leaves at dawn." What's the name of the boat? Asterope. Spell it. He spelled it. Who else is with him on the boat? A pilot, a security man named Collar. That's it. Collar. Yeah. Reyes, if you're lying to me. I'm not lying. Reyes. Nurse, I am not lying. I am done lying. I spent 8 minutes lying to myself about Lund, and I don't have another lie in me tonight. He's on the Asterope. He's at Pier 12. He's with Collar and a pilot. He sails at dawn. How long is dawn? About 2 hours. Thank you, Reyes. She stood up. She looked down the corridor at Valor, who was still standing over the rifle, who had not moved an inch in the last 8 minutes. She looked at the clock above the nurse's station. She looked at Margaret, whose face was in her hands, and at Callie, who was holding the supply room door open for Mr. Rostov, who was walking out of the closet without help for the first time in 4 hours. And she looked at all of it the way a person looks at a room she is about to leave and is not sure she will see again. Margaret? Yes. The call you made, they're going to be here in about 10 minutes. When they come in, they are going to come in fast. They are going to point rifles at you. You will put your hands up and you will not move, and you will tell them that Nurse Hale went to the marina. You will not say the name of the boat. You will not say the name of the pier. You will just say the marina. They will know what that means. Do you understand? The marina. The marina. Callie. Yes. Same instructions. The marina. Only the marina. Yes. Mr. Rostov. Hale. You are going to stay in this building. You are going to sit in a room with armed men you don't know, and you are going to answer their questions, and you are going to not lie to them. Not about me, not about yourself, not about anything. Can you do that? Yes. Your daughter. Yes. She is safe until dawn. I will make sure she stays safe after dawn. He looked at her the way a man looks at someone who has just offered him something he does not know how to accept, and he did not answer with words because words were not going to do the thing he needed to do. He just nodded once, and she nodded back. Valor. Valor came to her heel. We're going to the marina. Valor's ears came forward. She picked up the rifle at his feet. She checked the magazine. She slid a fresh one from one of the dead men's vests into her thigh pocket. She took the keys off the second floor's charge nurse's station, which had the spare ambulance keys for the pavilion's private transport, and she walked out the front doors of Haven Ridge Medical Pavilion onto a driveway that smelled like cold asphalt and engine oil. She got in the ambulance. Valor jumped into the passenger seat. She started the engine. She did not turn on the lights. She did not turn on the siren. She put it in drive. The clock on the dash said the sun would rise in 1 hour and 43 minutes. She had 2 of those minutes to spare. She took the long way out of the parking lot because the short way went past the maintenance gate, and the maintenance gate was where she would have posted a spotter if she had been Lund, and she was not going to let a spotter see an ambulance leave this building. She came out on the service road. She took the service road to the frontage. She got on the frontage going south, and then she got on the highway going east, and then she was on an open road at 4 in the morning with no headlights, with a dog on the seat next to her with a rifle across her lap, with her hands steady on the wheel, and with a 60-year-old Norwegian ghost somewhere ahead of her on a pier drinking coffee on a boat called Asterope, believing for the last time in his life that he was safe. She pressed down on the accelerator. Valor's head came to rest on her thigh. His eyes were open. He watched the road. He had been waiting 11 years for this drive. He had been waiting the whole time. Rowan drove. She drove 42 miles in 31 minutes, and she did not pass a single car that looked at her twice, which was what she had counted on, because a private pavilion ambulance on an eastbound highway at 4 in the morning was as invisible as a woman in navy scrubs pushing a medication cart. She killed the ambulance a half mile from the marina on a dirt turnout behind a bait shack that had been closed since October, and she stepped out, and Valor stepped out, and she locked the doors and put the keys under the front bumper, because she did not intend to need them again. Val, he looked up at her. Heel, quiet, find. He went ahead of her low 30 feet out, working the scent the way he worked everything methodical and silent. She followed. The marina had 64 slips, and only 2 of them had lights on at this hour. And of those 2, only 1 was on a boat the length and shape of the Asterope, which Reyes had described to her in the 40 seconds before she had zip-cuffed him. Pier 12, Slip 9, white hull, 2 decks, a small black rib tied to the stern, which was the first thing Lund would go to if things went sideways because men like Lund did not run on foot and did not run through crowds. Men like Lund ran on water. She was going to make sure he did not. She came up the pier from the land side on the far side of the marina office, which was dark, and she stopped behind a stack of crab traps 30 yards from the astrope. Valor stopped with her. Valor put his nose up and then down, and then he looked at her, and his ears told her what his ears always told her, which was that there was one man on the pier who was not supposed to be there. Where? He turned his head a fraction toward the dockmaster's shack. Collar. She could see him now if she knew where to look, which she did. He was leaning against the inside wall of the shack, the door propped open an inch, a cigarette cupped inside his palm so the cherry didn't show. She could see the glow through the crack in the door every time he drew on it. Every 9 seconds. Men who had been smoking their whole lives drew every 9 seconds. It was almost a clock. She pulled back behind the traps. Val, hold. He held. She moved around the back of the traps to the waterside, and she came up on the shack from behind, and she did it the way she had done this kind of thing 1,000 times in training and 11 times in places that did not officially exist, which was slow and flat, and with her breathing in time with the tide. When she was 3 feet from the back wall of the shack, she stopped. She stopped because the shack had a second man in it. She could hear him breathe. 2 men. Not what Reyes had said. Reyes had said 1. Reyes had said a pilot and a security man named Collar. Reyes had not said 2 security, which meant either Reyes had lied to her, which she did not think he had, or Reyes had not known, which was more likely, which meant Lund had brought a man Reyes hadn't met, which meant Lund trusted that man more than Reyes, which meant that man was not just security. That man was Lund's man. She adjusted. She took the folding knife out of her thigh pocket, the one she had taken off Reyes's ankle, and she opened it against her leg so it didn't click. She moved to the corner of the shack. She could see through the crack between the wall and the door frame, Collar's shoulder, and the back of a second man's head. The second man was sitting. The second man had his back to her. The second man was in his 60s, she could tell by the neck, and he had the specific flat-cropped hair of someone who had been getting the same haircut for 40 years in the same chair. And she already knew before he turned who he was. Lund was not on the boat. Lund was in the shack. Reyes hadn't lied. Lund had changed his plan. Something cold and clean moved through her chest. The neutral cold. The query match cold. Her hand tightened on the knife, and then it loosened because the knife was not what she was going to use on Halvard Lund. The knife was for Collar. She keyed her radio very low down by her waist. Val. Valor's ears flicked 30 yards away behind the crab traps. Val, shack, front, bark, once. She let go of the key. 3 seconds passed. 4. Valor barked, once, sharp, at the front of the shack. Collar's cigarette fell. She saw the red cherry drop in the crack of light. She heard his rifle come up off the wall. She heard him say, "Come," which was not English, which was Norwegian, which confirmed everything she needed confirmed, and she heard him move toward the front of the shack. She came around the back corner. Collar was facing the door. Lund was still sitting. She crossed the 6 feet between her and Collar in a breath and a half, and she took him at the base of the skull with the knife, and she took him the way she had been trained to take a man who had a rifle at his shoulder, which was one clean upward motion at the hinge of the spine, and he went down without firing, and he went down without making a sound louder than the soft grunt of air leaving a body that had decided without being consulted that it was done. Lund turned. Lund saw her. He saw Collar. He saw the knife in her hand. He saw Valor in the open doorway because Valor had come to the doorway without being told. And Halvard Lund smiled. He smiled the way old predators smiled when they recognized another predator. Not wide, not warm, just a small movement of the mouth. The smile of a man who had been waiting for this a long time and had started to think it wasn't coming. Rowan. Her name. Her real one. The one she had not heard out of another human's mouth in 11 years. Halvard. You look well. You look alive. A disappointment to some, I'm sure. Only to me. Sit, he said. He gestured to the second chair. No. Please, Diana. No, Halvard. You came here to talk. I came here to finish something. Then finish it. I will. But sit first. 5 minutes. I owe you 5 minutes. She did not sit. She moved to the wall opposite him and put her back to it, and she kept the rifle across her front, and she kept her eyes on his hands, which were flat on the table, which was where he had put them the moment he had seen the knife. Halvard. Rowan. The boat. The boat is a decoy. I imagine you know that by now. I do. The pilot is a man I hired in Lisbon. He will sail at dawn with no one on board. He will be intercepted. He will be questioned. He will know nothing because he knows nothing. And by the time anyone realizes I am not on the Asteropa, I will be on a different boat from a different marina going to a different country. That was the plan anyway. It was a good plan, except me, except you. Halvard, why did you come out of the ground? I was never in the ground, Rowan. Why did you come back into the world then? Why here? Why now? Why this one? He watched her. His hands did not move. Because Alaric Rostov was my last living debt. Because I had one thing left I wanted to collect before I died, and he was it. Because his father took something from me in 1998, and I promised myself I would take something back before I stopped being able to take anything. And because I am 71 years old, Rowan and I was running out of evenings. You could have had him a dozen times in 10 years. I could, but I wanted him tonight. Specifically tonight, because tonight is the anniversary. Of what? Tripoli. Her jaw tightened. You wanted me in the building. I wanted you in the building. You knew I worked there. I have known you worked there for 4 years, Rowan. I have known where you live. I have known the name of your dog. I have known the brand of coffee you buy. I have known which window of your apartment you sleep under. I have known everything. Then why didn't you come sooner? Because I wanted you to hear about it first. I wanted you to hear about Rostov being dead. I wanted you to come to me. I did not think you would come tonight. I thought you would come tomorrow or the day after. I had prepared for a longer wait. So I'm here early. You're here early. That's your mistake. It is my mistake. He moved his left hand. He moved it a quarter inch toward the inside of his jacket, and she put a round through the back of his hand before it got any farther. He jerked. He did not cry out. He was not the kind of man who cried out. He set the hand back on the table. He looked at the hole in it with mild interest. That was quick, he said. I know. You always were. Halvard, listen to me. Whatever you were going to say next, whatever speech you prepared for this, I am not going to hear it. Do you understand me? I understand. You killed my team. I did. You killed Carver. I did. You put my face on a kill list and you traded it to 2 different governments to fund your retirement. You turned my best friend's husband into a man I couldn't sit across from at a funeral because the funeral was a lie and she didn't know and I couldn't tell her and I haven't been able to look her in the face in 11 years because of you. Do you understand that? I understand. You don't get to explain tonight, Halvard. No, but I am going to ask you one question. Ask. The other names. The other names. You had a list, Halvard. You had 5 names on it. You traded mine. Who else did you trade? Who is still out there alive thinking the world has forgotten them? Who is about to have a visitor like the one Rostov had tonight? Give me the list. And if I give you the list, then I kill you quickly. And if I don't, then I kill you the other way. He watched her for a long time. His hand bled onto the table. He did not move it. He was the most still man she had ever seen in her life, and she had stood in rooms with very still men. Hannah Croft, he said. London. She runs a flower shop in Camden. Mikhail Orozco, Sao Paulo. Veterinarian. David Sue, Vancouver. Retired. Teaches children's violin. 3 names. 3 names. And the 5th. The 5th is you, Rowan. I already knew that. Then you have the list. I have the list, he smiled again. That same small predator smile. Will you do one thing for me, Rowan? No. Not for me, for them. What? Tell them it's over. When you go to them, when you tell them I am dead, tell them the list is burned, tell them they can put down whatever they have been carrying. They have been carrying it a long time. She looked at him. I will. Thank you. Halvard. Rowan. Did you love any of it? Any of what? Any of the work. Any of what we did. Back then, Did you love any of it, or was it all just what? He thought about it for a moment. A real moment. The moment of a man being asked a real question for the first time in a decade. I loved the mornings, he said, after. When the thing was done and the sun was coming up and the coffee was hot. I loved those. The rest, no. The rest was work. But the mornings I loved. Me too, she said. I know. Halvard. Yes. Close your eyes. He closed them. She did it the way Carver had taught her. She did it clean. She did it the way it should have been done 11 years ago on a rooftop in Tripoli, before everything she had loved in the world had become a list of men in folded flags. And then it was done. She wiped the rifle on Collar's sleeve. She took Lund's phone from his pocket. She took the folded piece of paper from his inside jacket, the one she had known would be there, which was the manifest from the boat and the route and the contacts and the bank codes that would let 3 people in 3 cities on 3 continents finally put their suitcases down. She took Lund's watch because Lund's watch was a signal device and she did not want it signaling anything. She took Collar's radio and she turned it off. She walked out of the shack. Valor was waiting. Good, she said. She put her hand on his skull. Good boy. He leaned into her thigh. She walked back down the pier in the pale early blue before morning, back past the crab traps, back along the path to the turnout in the ambulance. And she got in, and Valor got in, and she sat for a minute with her hands on the wheel because her hands had started to shake, a little the way they always did after the way they had done when she was young, and had thought the shaking meant something was wrong with her until Carver had told her no. The shaking is the body remembering. It's a body, and the body is going to remember for as long as you let it, and then one day it will stop, and when it stops is when you should worry. Her hands shook. She was glad they shook. She drove back. She did not drive to Haven Ridge. She drove 2 miles past it to a diner that had been open at 4 in the morning for 31 years. And she parked behind the dumpster, and she carried Valor's travel bowl and her own small bag inside, and she sat in a booth in the back, and she ordered coffee, and she put her phone on the table, and she waited. At 6:40, a black sedan pulled up in the lot outside, and a woman in a gray suit got out, and the woman in the gray suit came into the diner alone, and she walked to the booth, and she sat down across from Rowan. The woman did not speak. Rowan slid the paper across the table. The manifest, the list, Lund's phone, Lund's watch. The woman looked at them. 3 names, Rowan said. London, Sao Paulo, Vancouver. You tell them it's done. You tell them in person. You don't send anyone else. You go yourself. You tell them Carver's girl closed the book. Rowan. That's the deal. Rowan. That was always the deal. That was the deal the day I walked out. That if I ever had to come back to work, I came back once, and then I walked out again, and nobody followed me, and nobody knocked on my door again. That was the deal I made with you, Dana. Tell me that is still the deal. Donna was quiet for a moment. That's still the deal, Rowan. Good. The man upstairs, Rostov. He's clean. Whatever file you have on him, burn it. He has a daughter. She stays in Switzerland. She stays untouched. You put a watch on her until she's 18 and then you forget her. Okay. Margaret Pell, the charge nurse. Callie Price, the new one. Dolores Vega, janitor. They saw things. You don't visit them. You don't knock on their doors. You let them tell the story however they need to tell it. You clean it up on your end. Okay. Haven Ridge security footage. Every camera, every server. Gone by noon. Gone by noon. The dog stays with me. The dog stays with you. And the name you had for me in your file. Yes. Close it out, officially. I was never there tonight. You were never there tonight. Dana picked up the manifest, the list, the phone, the watch. She put them in a small leather case. She closed the case. She stood up. Rowan? Dana. He's really gone. He's really gone. Dana nodded once. Good coffee here, Rowan said. I'll remember. Donna walked out of the diner. The sedan pulled away. The booth was quiet. The sun was starting to come up over the parking lot, and the waitress came by with the pot and topped off Rowan's cup, and Rowan said, thank you, and the waitress said, you're welcome, honey. And Rowan held the cup in both hands, and she watched the morning start. Valor's head rested on her foot under the table. 3 months later, she was back at Haven Ridge. She was back in Navy scrubs. She was back at the charge desk at 11 at night, and Margaret was waiting for her, and Margaret did not ask her where she had been for 90 days, and Margaret did not ask her anything that mattered. Margaret just handed her the tablet and said, "Room 402, post-surgical, grumpy, refused his dinner. You handle him. I handle him. You handle him." Callie was at the station. Callie looked up. Callie smiled. It was a different smile than the one Callie had smiled in March. It was a smile with a weight in it. It was the smile of a woman who had seen a thing and had decided to keep working anyway, and Rowan recognized it because Rowan had smiled at herself once, a long time ago. "Hey, Nurse Hale." "Hey, Callie. Welcome back." "Thanks." "Val good." "Val's good." Alaric Rostov's daughter flew in from Zurich that winter for a school break. She came with her father to the pavilion on a Sunday because Alaric had continued his post-surgical check-ins at Haven Ridge because he had chosen to because he had told the board he would fund a new wing if they kept the current night staff on permanent appointment, and the board had said yes. Nina was 11 and a half. She had her father's eyes. She stood at the nurse's station and she looked at Rowan for a long, quiet second, and then she said very politely, "Thank you for looking after my dad." "You're welcome, sweetheart." He said, "You're very good at your job." "I try." "Is that your dog?" "That's my dog." "Can I pet him?" "You can pet him." Nina knelt. Valor put his forehead against her forehead. He had not done that with anyone except Rowan in 5 years. Alaric watched from 3 feet away. He did not say anything. He didn't need to. His face was the face of a man who was trying very hard not to cry in a hallway in front of his daughter, and he was mostly succeeding. Later, when Nina was down the hall looking at the fish tank, Alaric stood at the counter with Rowan. "Hale, Mr. Rostov." "I never said it." "You don't need to." "I'm going to anyway." "Mr. Rostov." "Thank you." She nodded once. "Hale." "Yes." "Are you ever going to tell me your real name?" "You already know it, Mr. Rostov." "Hale is your real name." "It is now." He smiled a small, careful smile. He nodded. He looked down the hall at his daughter. "She's never going to know," he said. "About any of it." "No, Asio. Is that wrong?" "It's what parents do, Mr. Rostov. Every parent who has ever come home from something they couldn't talk about. They put it in a box and they close the box. You're not unusual. You're just honest about it." "Hale." "Yes." "I'm glad it was you that night." "Me too." He walked down the hall to collect his daughter. Rowan watched him go. She picked up the tablet. She pulled up the chart for 402. She read the name and the med list and the notes from the previous shift, and she closed the tablet and she put it under her arm, and she walked down the hallway in her soft-soled shoes with her dog at her heel. A woman passed her going the other way, a new hire, the kind of young nurse who was still learning how to stand when she was tired. The new nurse gave her a half smile, the kind of half smile you gave to a woman at the station who had a bleu and a badge that said "Hail or in a way of standing that you could not quite place. "Is she the one they talk about?" the new nurse whispered to Callie after Rowan had passed. "The one from that night." Callie watched Rowan's back going down the hall, Valor's tail swaying once, twice at her knee. "She's the night nurse," Callie said. "That's all she is. That's all she's ever going to be. And that is the most dangerous thing a person can be when the person is her and when the night is the wrong one to walk into." And in room 402, Rowan Hale knocked twice, waited, and went in to take care of her patient because that was her job, because it had always been her job, because the war was over and the list was closed and the morning was hers, and she had earned every single one of them, and she was going to keep earning them one quiet shift at a time for the rest of her life.